Hey guys, okay, well let's get into this here. This is snowtraxs review. This is my review of snowtraxs review. I got some cheat sheets here. We'll go through it. I'll try not to be too long here. It might end up being a little bit longer of a review. If you stick till the very end, thanks a lot. And yeah, let's get into it here. So the first couple points here will be the stuff I agree with, and then afterwards it starts getting to be what I don't agree with.
First, it is not supposed to be a mountain sled. At least, it wasn't last season. The original idea behind the Riot and riotx was to offer two separate crossover models, one biased to on-trail and one biased to off-trail. Riot, for example, has a full-width trail front end and makes an excellent trail sled that's surprisingly good off-trail as well. The riotx, on the other hand, has a 40-inch wide mountain front suspension setup and is supposed to be an off-trail sled that can still be realistically ridden on the trail. Last year,
so he's talking about the two different types of crossovers. The two different types of riots that come out. In my opinion, I think there's different subcategories inside of the crossover segment. I think there's more than just saying this is a crossover and that's it. I think there's different areas in there, subcategories. So he talked about the regular riot was supposed to be more on trail, and it is. The regular riot I think should go up against like your switchback assaults. If I knew Skidoo's better, I'd throw in what Skidoo's crossover B2, but I don't know Skidoo's as good. Sorry. And then the riotx I think would be comparable to like the SKS and maybe even a free ride, say. So there's differences in there. One's a lot more trail biased, one's a lot more off-road or off-trail biased. Yeah, we'll continue on with that a little bit later here. I got some more thoughts on that. Let's go ahead here.
Alpha 1 equipped riotx sees an improvement in off-trail performance. Like all of Arctic Cat's Alpha 1 equipped sleds, it's almost shockingly easy to get it on its side and keep it there.
So he's just talking about the Alpha skid, saying like with all the sleds that it's very easy to get on its side and hold it there. I agree and disagree. I agree that it is easy in the right conditions, the right snow. In the wrong snow, more hard packed, wind blown, whatever, it's not that easy to get on its edge. You're not just going to flop it over on its edge and hold it there. You're just not. Yeah, at least in my experience, you're not going to. In softer snow and good snow, yeah, you could get it on its edge and it's nice and you could hold it and it's good. So it depends on the conditions you're in.
This riot is its ability to clear more and carry less snow in the skid frame. This is a real thing. It's not fluff. It is definitely noticeable, and it makes the sled feel lighter in the deep stuff. It's also easier to dig out when you get stuck, but since I never get stuck,
So he's just talking about the skid there on how it doesn't hold as much snow and how it is a real tangible thing. It's not just some made up stuff to try to sell sleds. And that's true. I 100% agree with that. Just because I haven't been able to ride in really good condition since last year, about the same time. We were in a lot of snow. My 13 high country, you definitely noticed the skid holding the snow. At the time you didn't, just because I haven't been on one of these, but now that I'm on one of these and I think back, yeah, the back end felt heavy. It felt a little bit more sluggish, especially when trying to pull it out from getting stuck and you got to lift up on the rear bumper, or you just want to move it over, you want to move your track over. It's heavy. There's a lot of snow that gets trapped in there. with this Alpha, and I haven't been in a whole lot of snow, but it cleared right out. You're just not carrying it. It really is a real thing, guys. So now we get to the more not important things, but the more controversial things. I think the things that I disagree with. He starts talking about all the down points. I don't want to bash these guys too much. They do a good job and stuff. You hear all the stories about the advertisement money that gets thrown their way. You can see it a little bit. Some biasisms, I think, do come through in some of their reviews. It's not just because I'm an Arctic fanboy or anything like that. I truly do believe that some of the stuff that they review gets a little bit better review than they give other manufacturers. I know they say they try not to be, or they're not. Again, I don't want to bash them. I think they do a good job. It's just, and I know everybody's going to have some bias because you like what you drive, you like your brand, but it is what it is. I disagree with a lot of this stuff here now from the later part of this video, so we'll get into this here.
First and foremost is on-trail ride and handling. Look, the Alpha 1 was never designed to be used on the trail. It's a very specialized setup that's designed to work in the deep snow. So it wasn't ever a surprise to me that Alpha-equipped Arctic mountain sleds didn't ride very well. But because the rear of the sled is so tippy from side to side, Alpha-equipped mountain sleds also don't handle very well on the trail. They tend to roll up onto the outside ski basically all the time.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that, yeah, maybe it was designed as the Alpha to be off-trail and in the deep snow. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But to say that this sled wasn't designed for that, I don't agree with. He says the tippy nature. I don't find it tippy. I don't know where he's going to find a tippy. I could, I don't get to compare a bunch of sleds back to back to back like these guys do. My only comparison is with my 13 high country. In the trails around here, when I'm on actual trails on hardpack, I think my 13 high country with the sway bars disconnected, skis narrowed up, the shocks are set pretty soft. It handles worse. It's tippier in the trails than my 21 Riot with the sway bars in. With the sway bar links out, yeah, this Riot's pretty tippy. I haven't tried it back home here, so I'm going to do one of those. I'll do some trail riding with it out, see how it is. But the only time I've noticed it tippy is in off-camber situations. So when you're going out west and you're going around the hill, everything's always tipped. It's always a little bit off camber. When you come around that hill and you're already off camber, you feel the whole sled roll. That's when I feel the rear end roll on me. That's when I feel the skid. I've never felt it back home. When you're on flat and you go around a corner that's flat, it just goes around. It doesn't tip on you. You're not going to come around a corner and then just wipe out. If you're going too fast, yeah, you will. This is a off-trail crossover biased trail sled, okay? Or crossover sled. Off-trail biased crossover sled. It's not a trail biased crossover sled. So I'm not hitting the corners at 60 miles an hour. This sled, I easily drive it down the trails. I have a lot of fun in the trails. But that's where I think a lot of people go wrong. They're not sure what crossover. They think crossover, okay, I'll be able to ride off trail and on trail. It should handle just as good on trail as it does off. That's not the case. You're never going to get that. I know these guys say the switchback assault's the closest you're going to get, and maybe it is. I haven't ridden one. That's where the regular Riot is to be in as well. And then I think there's a more extreme category that's off-trail bias, and that's where the riotx comes in. That's where the SKS comes in. Maybe a free ride 146 comes in. They're going to be way more off-trail biased, but still manageable on the trails. So I don't know where he's getting the tippiness coming in, saying it's really tippy. I don't feel that on the sled. Keep going here.
Crossover sled. An off-trail bias crossover sled, yes, but a crossover nonetheless. Alpha 1's harsh ride and tippy handling traits pretty much erase any of the positive on-trail handling traits of last year's riotx.
So there again, he's saying harsh ride and tippy handling traits. That's the first I heard of a harsh ride. I don't know where he's coming in with that. These QS3 coilover shocks are awesome. They're really good. You don't have to worry about the air like the other ones. It rides really good. I got my front shock set on at 2. I got my rear front skid set on at 3, the hardest, and the rear skid setting at 2. It gives me a bit better transfer that way, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a soft riding sled. I don't find it harsh. I still don't find it tippy. So I don't know where he's getting that from. Then here in a little bit,
my opinion that the 2021 model is an off-trail only sled.
right there, he says in his opinion the 21 model is an off-trail only sled. I don't agree with that. I got 300 all-trail miles on my sled. It handles just as good, if not a little bit better, in my 13 high country. I have no issues running it around here. We're very flat here. We go up and down. Our corners are flat. Everything's flat. If there's a lot more off camber stuff, if your trails and you're turning on more side hills, on the side of the hill or the top of the hill or something, and you're more off camber all the time, then maybe it would be a bit more tippy. For me, where I am, it's very flat, and I don't find it bad at all. Like I said, I got 300 miles on mine, all trail, and I haven't had any issues. This part coming up kind of makes me laugh a little bit.
At the front end light. In other words, it's a bit of a wheelie monster, which is fun when you want it to be, but you really have to ride with your weight forward and keep the nose from constantly wanting to go up on steep side hills. Because this sled is...
So right there, he said it's a wheelie monster. I disagree with that as well. I don't think it's a wheelie monster. It's not my riding style in the first place, but I can't get it to get on the tail and ride it for 50 yards or 100 yards. Skidoos, they go straight on the tail and you can run them forever. Those are more wheelie monsters. This sled's not. This sled's very playful. It likes to get the front end up. It's a lot of fun. I can maybe get it to about 70 degrees. I can't get it to that 90. If I hit a good hill and I pull back on it in the right snow, then I could get it to the 90. But for the most part, I can't. So a wheelie monster, I laugh at that. That's not, in my opinion, that is not true. And people that go out to buy these, if they're used to more the skidoos that go straight up, they're going to be disappointed with that. But if you're used to cats where they don't really lift at all, you're going to love this sled because it is easier to pop up. It's a lot more playful. Then he was talking about side hilling across, and it makes it undesirable because the front end always wants to come up on you. I don't know what he's talking about there. I'm hoping he's talking about it wants to cut back uphill on you, not wheelie on you. It's not going to wheelie while you're doing a side hill. Foot placement and weight placement, body positioning is very important on the sled. If you're side hilling like that, yeah, keep your feet close to the front of the running boards. Keep them in the footwells. You'll be able to keep going straight across. You move your foot back a full foot or a little bit better, maybe even about half in the middle of the running board, you're going to start cutting up. If you want to really cut and do like a 90-degree cut, then you put it at the back and it'll really cut and throw you straight up the hill or do a 180 on you. So foot placement is big. Once you learn that, even just driving in the meadows, carving around side to side, foot placement is huge. And you just got to learn that with the sled. It just is what it is. It's part of the learning curve with the Alpha. So you're not going to be side hilling and then just the front end's not going to wheelie lift up on you. And then just this last little bit here.
Alpha 1 equipped riotx is no longer a true crossover sled. This is now a short track mountain sled. But once you as a buyer understand this, I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
So he just said it's not a true crossover sled anymore. It's a short track mountain sled. I fully disagree with that as well, especially in the fact that this is a cat, in the sense that this is a cat. Other manufacturers, Polaris, Skidoos, they have full-length tunnel coolers on their mountain sleds. Cats don't. You don't need them in the mountains. Guys don't want them. It's extra weight. It causes the ice buildup in the back. But for a crossover sled, if you want to be running trails, you need that cooler. So that's why I think we see a lot of full-blown mountain sleds. We see lots of RMKs. I see lots of Summits. They're all running trails around here where I am. But that's because they can stay cool. If I had a Alpha 1 out here or an M8000 or an older M, they don't have the extra cooler. You can run the scratchers, but you're still going to overheat at some point, and it's just not good. So for cat, that is not a true, just not a short track mountain sled. I got to try out my uncle's Alpha 1. That's a mountain sled. I will be doing a review on that. I might do a sit down talk about some of the points that I might not have talked about while I was riding the sled. They are similar, but they're different. So I don't believe this is a true short track mountain sled. I think this is a true crossover, a off-trail bias crossover, but still a true crossover nonetheless. Then he talks kind of a little bit about the Riot, how the Riot's a true crossover sled. The regular Riot, I don't know what his classification as true crossover is. If he's looking for the best 50-50 as being a crossover, then yeah, maybe, right? But like I said, that puts you in the switchback assault era or category, and I think that there's subcategories in this category. I know a lot of guys that got the 2020 riotx and they hated it. They didn't like it. It didn't do what they thought it should do. They were replacing the skids. I don't know. I never got to ride mine before I traded it off on my 21. So I don't know. But a lot of guys, they didn't even like the 2-inch track. You know, these guys last year, they said, yeah, the 2-inch is awesome for the deep powder and all that. All the other guys I'm talking to, they hate it. That's not enough. They're all swapping out for a 2.5-inch track. So you got the guys that want a crossover sled, but they want more off-trail capabilities than on-trail, and that's where this fits in. This is still a crossover in my mind. It's just a lot more off-trail biased crossover. It's not a full-blown short-track mountain sled. So that's kind of my review of their review. I kind of went through some things pretty quick, but it's already a fairly long video. If you have any other questions about what they say, if you watch this review and you got questions that I didn't cover or you want better explanation, let me know. Leave it down in the comments below and I'll get back to you guys. And if I get enough questions down there about stuff, maybe I'll do another sit down like this and just talk about your guys' questions, and I'll try to explain them the best I can. And yeah, thanks for watching.